You see, our mind is not just an organ. It is the center of our destiny, the very source of the thoughts, actions, and habits that shape who we are and who we become. It has the power to elevate us to unimaginable heights, or it can drag us down to the depths of despair. The question is, who is in control? Too often we fail to recognize that the biggest enemy we face is not in the world outside of us, but within us. It is the battle against the negative thoughts, the limiting beliefs, the fear, the doubts, and the insecurities that lurk in our minds. These enemies don't wear uniforms. They don't march on the battlefield with weapons. Instead, they are quiet, subtle, and insidious, operating in our subconscious, sabotaging our every step forward. But let me tell you something. You have the power to change that. The moment you understand that you are in control of your mind, that's the moment you step into your true power. Your mind is like a garden, and you are the gardener. You can plant seeds of positivity, hope, and purpose, or you can allow weeds of negativity, fear, and doubt to take root. It all comes down to self-mastery. Mastering your thoughts is the first step in mastering your life. If you cannot control what happens in your mind, you will not be able to control what happens in your life. This is why self-mastery is not just a key to success. It is the key. Now, let's talk about the nature of our thoughts. Have you ever found yourself held back by negative beliefs? Thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I'll never succeed, I don't deserve happiness. These thoughts are the weapons of the uncontrolled mind. They paralyze us, keep us stuck in the past, and prevent us from moving forward. They are the voices of fear, insecurity, and doubt. And they are not your true voice. The truth is, your emotions and your thoughts are not facts. They're simply energy. You have the power to redirect that energy towards something constructive, something positive. Your emotions don't define you unless you allow them to. When we allow our emotions to dictate our decisions, we are like ships without a rudder, drifting wherever the wind takes us. But there is hope. You have the ability to change the course of your life. It starts with one thing: focus. Focus your mind on your goals, on your vision, on your purpose. When you focus on the positive, on the possibilities, on the future that you want to create, your mind becomes a powerful ally. It begins to work for you, not against you. So what can you do today? First, recognize that you are in control. Reprogram your mind. Replace the negative thoughts with positive affirmations, with visions of success, with a belief in your ability to create the life you desire. Every single day, make the decision to renew your mind. It won't happen overnight, but with consistency, discipline, and focus, you will begin to see your life change. Remember, the past does not define you. Your mistakes, your failures, they are not the end of your story. They are part of the process. The mind has the power to heal, to forgive, and to move forward. But you must be the one to direct it. In closing, let me remind you that the greatest enemy you will ever face is not outside of you, it is within you. And its name is an uncontrolled mind. But the greatest power you have is the power to control it, to shape it, and to direct it toward greatness. It is time to rise above the noise. It is time to take charge of your thoughts, your emotions, and your destiny. The victory begins in your mind. The mind is the most powerful tool you possess. It is the birthplace of all your thoughts, ideas, and actions. What you think shapes who you become. What you focus on determines your direction in life. Our minds are capable of incredible feats, from solving complex problems to imagining new realities, creating innovations, and even transforming our circumstances. Everything we have in our lives, our successes, our failures, our relationships, our struggles, starts in the mind. Your mind is not just a passive observer, it is an active participant in the creation of your reality. The way you view the world, your environment, and yourself is directly influenced by the thoughts you allow to take root. It has the power to create or destroy, to uplift or tear down. When you harness this power and use it intentionally, you unlock the potential to achieve greatness. However, when left unchecked, it can become a source of self-sabotage, fear, and doubt. Think about how your mind controls your perception. What you believe to be true about yourself, others, or the world will color every decision you make. If you believe you are capable, confident, and worthy, your actions will reflect that belief and opportunities will open up to you. If you believe the opposite, you will limit yourself before you even begin. The power of the mind is the ability to direct your thoughts toward whatever you choose, shaping the course of your life accordingly. The mind also has a tendency to wander, to fall into patterns of negativity, to get caught up in fears and insecurities. It can replay past mistakes, hold on to regrets, or entertain worries about an uncertain future. If left unchecked, the mind can trap you in a cycle of self-doubt, making it difficult to see the possibilities before you. This is why it is so important to take control of your mental landscape. You have the ability to choose what to focus on and what to let go of. The real power of the mind lies in its capacity to be reprogrammed. Just as you can train your body, you can train your mind. With consistent effort, you can replace negative patterns with positive affirmations, self-belief, and clarity. This is not a process that happens overnight, but with practice, you can transform your mindset from one of limitation to one of possibility. You can break free from old beliefs and create a new way of thinking that supports your growth and success. When you understand the power of the mind, you begin to realize that you are not a victim of your circumstances, but a creator of your reality. Your thoughts have the power to shape the world you experience. When you master your mind, you master your life. Self-mastery is the foundation of everything we achieve in life. It is the ability to control and direct your thoughts, actions, and emotions in alignment with your highest potential. It is the art of becoming the master of yourself, understanding that the choices you make, moment by moment, define the course of your life. Self-mastery means being able to rise above the distractions, impulses, and external pressures that threaten to pull you off track, and instead focus on the things that truly matter to you. When you have self-mastery, you gain the ability to discipline your thoughts and actions. It's easy to get caught up in the chaos of life, to react emotionally or impulsively, but true self-mastery requires you to pause, reflect, and act with purpose. It is about making decisions based on your values, your goals, and your vision, rather than letting your circumstances dictate your responses. It means that when life challenges you, whether through setbacks, frustrations, or disappointments, you don't lose your focus or surrender to negativity. Instead, you remain calm, steady, and grounded, knowing that your inner peace is not dependent on external situations, but on your ability to govern yourself. Self-mastery also involves mastering your emotions. Emotions are powerful forces, but they don't have to control you. We often think of emotions as something that happens to us. But self-mastery is recognizing that you have the power to choose how you respond to them. When faced with anger, fear, or sadness, you can pause and choose to respond in a way that is constructive rather than reactive. It's about understanding your emotional triggers and deciding not to let them dictate your behavior. This level of emotional control creates clarity and empowers you to make decisions from a place of calm and rationality rather than from a place of fear or impulse. Self-mastery is also reflected in the way we manage our time, our energy, and our habits. In a world filled with distractions, it's easy to waste time on things that don't contribute to your long-term goals. Mastering yourself means being able to focus your energy on what truly matters. It's about being intentional with how you spend your time, cultivating positive habits that move you closer to your objectives, and learning to say no to things that drain your energy or take you off course. It's not about perfection, but about consistency and the discipline to stay committed to your growth. To develop self-mastery, you must first understand that it is a lifelong journey. It is not something you achieve once and for all. It requires ongoing effort, reflection, and growth. As you evolve, new challenges will arise, and your level of self-mastery will be tested. But with each challenge, you have the opportunity to grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. The more you practice self-mastery, the more natural it becomes, until it becomes second nature. When you master yourself, you unlock the ability to shape your destiny. You stop reacting to life and start creating it. You no longer become a victim of your circumstances or the whims of your emotions. Instead, you are in the driver's seat, moving toward your goals with purpose and clarity. Self-mastery is not just about personal success. It's the key to living a life of meaning, fulfillment, and true peace. The enemy within is often the most dangerous, for it is the one that remains hidden, operating beneath the surface, subtly influencing our decisions, actions, and thoughts. It is not an enemy that can be fought with force or strategy, but one that must be faced with self-awareness, courage, and wisdom. This enemy manifests in many forms: fear, self-doubt, limiting beliefs, anger, and insecurity. It can be insidious, slowly eroding our confidence, paralyzing us with fear, or leading us to make choices that are contrary to our best interests. This internal enemy is often rooted in our past experiences, our upbringing, and the conditioning we have received over the years. It feeds on the stories we tell ourselves, the narratives of inadequacy and failure, the voices of past rejection or hurt. These stories shape our identity, and if we don't challenge them, they continue to define our actions, often without our conscious awareness. For many, this enemy thrives on a sense of unworthiness, whispering that they are not good enough, that they will never succeed, or that they are incapable of achieving their dreams. It thrives on the negative self-talk that says, I can't, or I'm not worthy. These messages, though internal, can have a profound impact on how we navigate the world and make choices. The enemy within also thrives on fear, particularly the fear of failure or fear of the unknown. Fear can be paralyzing, keeping us from taking risks, trying new things, or stepping into opportunities that challenge us. It creates a wall of comfort and safety that keeps us stuck, convinced that staying where we are is better than moving forward into the unknown. But fear is a liar. It convinces us that we are powerless, when in fact it is the fear itself that holds the real power to limit our growth. Another face of this internal enemy is our inability to forgive. Holding on to past grudges, resentments, and anger is like carrying a heavy weight on our shoulders. These emotions can cloud our judgment, distort our perceptions, and drain our energy. When we refuse to forgive, we remain tethered to the past, preventing ourselves from moving forward. We allow those past hurts to define our present and future. The enemy within is often fed by our attachment to old wounds. And only by letting go of these hurts can we free ourselves from its grasp. In many ways, the enemy within is not an external force that we can fight with physical strength, but an internal struggle for control. It's the battle between who we are and who we are capable of becoming. The true enemy is not something to be defeated once and for all. It is a part of us that must be understood, recognized, and transformed. We cannot simply eradicate fear, self-doubt, or negative beliefs. We must change our relationship with them. Instead of letting these internal forces dictate our choices, we must learn to face them, challenge them, and rise above them. The enemy within also manifests when we become complacent, when we stop striving for growth and excellence. Complacency is a subtle form of self-sabotage, as it convinces us that good enough is enough. It tells us that there is no need for change, no need to reach higher, to aim for more. It convinces us to settle for mediocrity, when deep inside we know we are capable of so much more. The enemy within thrives when we stop believing in our potential and allow ourselves to accept limitations that were never truly ours. The good news is that the enemy within is not invincible. While it may seem powerful, it has no real authority unless we give it power. The first step in overcoming this internal enemy is awareness. When we become aware of the negative thoughts, the fears, the limiting beliefs, and the destructive patterns that govern our lives, we can begin to shift our focus. We can choose to reframe those thoughts, to replace them with empowering beliefs, to take action despite fear, and to forgive ourselves and others for past wrongs. The power to overcome the enemy within lies not in avoiding it, but in confronting it head on with understanding and courage. As we face and transform these internal enemies, we begin to reclaim our power. We stop being driven by fear, doubt, and anger, and instead, we become the masters of our own destiny. The enemy within, once a force of destruction, becomes a source of growth, a reminder that we are always in the process of becoming. Each time we challenge our inner enemy, we grow stronger, wiser, and more capable of stepping into the fullness of who we are meant to be. Negative thoughts and beliefs are some of the most powerful forces that hold us back from realizing our full potential. These mental patterns, often formed from past experiences, societal expectations, or self-imposed limitations, shape how we see the world and how we perceive ourselves. The mind has a tendency to focus on the negative, to highlight what's wrong rather than what's right. And over time, this can become a destructive cycle. When these negative thoughts are left unchecked, they take root and begin to define our actions, our relationships, and our choices. At the core of negative thinking are limiting beliefs, deeply ingrained convictions about who we are and what we're capable of achieving. These beliefs often manifest as thoughts like, I'm not good enough, I don't deserve success, or I'm too old, too young, too inexperienced. These thoughts become so automatic that we may not even recognize them as harmful. They are the whispers in the back of our minds that tell us we're incapable of achieving our dreams, that we'll never measure up, or that we don't have what it takes. But these beliefs are not truths. They are just stories we've told ourselves over time, often based on past failures, setbacks, or negative experiences. They hold no power unless we give them the authority to dictate our actions. When we consistently think negatively about ourselves, we begin to build a distorted self-image, one that is defined by inadequacy and self-doubt. This self-image then becomes a filter through which we interpret the world. For example, if you believe you are not worthy of love, success, or happiness, you may subconsciously push away opportunities or people who could bring you those things. You may sabotage yourself, even without realizing it, because on some level, you don't believe you deserve more. These negative thoughts create a feedback loop. You think negatively, so you act in ways that reinforce those thoughts, which in turn reinforces your belief that you're not capable or deserving. The challenge with negative thinking is that it not only affects how we see ourselves, but how we perceive everything around us. When we're constantly focused on what's wrong or what could go wrong, we begin to attract more of that negativity into our lives. We start to see the world as a place of limitation, failure, and hardship, and we become stuck in a mindset of scarcity. This mindset can prevent us from seeing opportunities, solving problems, and making decisions that will move us forward. Instead of seeing challenges as opportunities for growth, we may see them as signs that we're doomed to fail. This cycle of negativity can erode our confidence, destroy our motivation, and create a sense of helplessness. In addition to limiting beliefs about ourselves, negative thoughts often come in the form of fears. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of being judged, or fear of the unknown. These fears can be paralyzing. Fear is an emotion that triggers the body's fight or flight response, and when we constantly feed our minds with fearful thoughts, we are essentially teaching our body to remain in a state of stress and tension. This makes it difficult to think clearly, make decisions, or take action. Fear can prevent us from pursuing our goals, trying new things, or taking risks. We become afraid of the possibility of failure, and as a result, we never take the first step. But the problem with fear is that it is often irrational. We fear things that haven't even happened yet, creating stories in our minds about worst-case scenarios that are highly unlikely to materialize. We build these mental walls that keep us trapped in a bubble of safety, but that bubble also keeps us from growing, from experiencing life to the fullest. Fear doesn't disappear on its own. It needs to be confronted and challenged. And once we begin to challenge these negative beliefs and fears, we start to see them for what they truly are. Just illusions that have no real power unless we give them the authority to control us. Changing negative thoughts and beliefs requires intention and effort. It begins with awareness, recognizing when you're thinking negatively or believing something that isn't serving you. This awareness is the first step in breaking the cycle. Once you've identified these limiting thoughts, you can begin to replace them with more empowering beliefs. It's not enough to simply stop the negative thoughts. You must replace them with positive, affirming statements that align with your true potential. This can be done through positive self-talk, affirmations, and visualizations that reinforce a new, more empowering narrative. It's important to recognize that changing your mindset is a process. It takes time and it takes consistent effort, but it is possible. You can also challenge the negative thoughts by questioning them. Ask yourself, is this thought really true? Where's the evidence to support this belief? Is this belief serving me or is it holding me back? By critically examining these thoughts, you begin to loosen their grip on your mind and replace them with more accurate, positive perspectives. Over time, this shift in thinking will lead to a shift in behavior. As your beliefs change, so do your actions. You begin to take risks, set higher goals, and move beyond your comfort zone, which ultimately leads to growth and transformation. It is essential to remember that negative thoughts and beliefs are not facts. They're simply products of the mind, shaped by our experiences, our past, and our fears, but they do not have to define us. With conscious effort and persistence, we have the power to reframe these thoughts and beliefs. And in doing so, we open the door to a life filled with possibility, abundance, and fulfillment. Emotions play a crucial role in shaping our behavior, decisions, and overall experience of life. They're powerful forces that can either enhance or hinder our progress, depending on how we choose to navigate them. At their core, emotions are a form of energy that signals our responses to the world around us. They are not inherently good or bad, but simply reflect how we perceive and react to situations. However, when emotions are not understood or managed effectively, they can have a profound and often negative impact on our lives. The role of emotions extends beyond just how we feel in a given moment. They have a deep connection to our thoughts, our beliefs, and our actions. Emotions are closely tied to the way we interpret events. For example, if we interpret a challenging situation as a threat, we may experience fear, stress, or anxiety. On the other hand, if we interpret the same situation as an opportunity for growth or learning, we may feel excitement, determination, or curiosity. In this way, our emotions reflect not only our immediate reactions, but also the beliefs and stories we hold about ourselves and the world. What often happens, however, is that we allow our emotions to dictate our responses without fully understanding them. We can become swept away by feelings of anger, frustration, or sadness, and in those moments, our judgment becomes clouded. Rather than thinking clearly and making decisions from a place of wisdom, we react emotionally, often leading to actions we later regret. When we are caught up in the heat of the moment, it becomes easy to make decisions based on fear or impulse, and we may not fully consider the long-term consequences of those decisions. This is why it is so essential to develop emotional intelligence, the ability to understand, manage, and respond to emotions in a way that is constructive rather than reactive. Emotions are also deeply intertwined with our sense of identity. For many, how we feel can often be mistaken for who we are. If we feel sad, we may believe we are weak or broken. If we feel angry, we may think of ourselves as irritable or uncontrolled. These emotional states can shape our self-feeling. And if we attach ourselves too strongly to these feelings, we risk defining ourselves by our emotions rather than by our true essence. The key to emotional mastery is to recognize that our emotions, while valid, do not define us. We are not our emotions. We are the ones who experience them. By separating ourselves from the emotion, we can step back, observe it, and then decide how we want to respond. One of the most significant roles emotions play is in decision-making. Emotions are often the driving force behind the choices we make, sometimes even more so than logic or reason. When we are emotionally charged, we tend to make decisions based on how we feel rather than what we think. For example, in moments of fear or anxiety, we might avoid taking risks or making changes that could be beneficial to us. Alternatively, when we are feeling confident and enthusiastic, we may take bold steps toward our goals. The challenge is to recognize when our emotions are guiding us and ensure that our decisions are balanced and aligned with our higher purpose, rather than simply reacting to temporary feelings. Emotions are also vital in how we connect with others. They are the foundation of empathy and understanding, allowing us to relate to the experiences and feelings of those around us. When we are in tune with our own emotions, we are better equipped to understand and connect with the emotions of others. Empathy creates bonds, deepens relationships, and fosters trust. But just as emotions can enhance our relationships, they can also hinder them if they are not managed. Uncontrolled emotions, like unchecked anger or jealousy, can lead to misunderstandings, hurt feelings, and conflict. Emotional awareness is therefore essential not only for personal growth, but for creating and maintaining healthy, supportive relationships. In many ways, emotions are a reflection of our internal state. When we are at peace with ourselves, our emotions tend to be more stable, and we are better able to handle challenges with clarity and grace. However, when we are unsettled, stressed, or disconnected from our true selves, our emotions may become erratic or overwhelming. This is why emotional health is directly linked to overall well-being. By learning to manage our emotions through practices like mindfulness, self-reflection, and emotional regulation techniques, we can reduce the impact of negative emotions on our lives and foster a sense of inner peace. There is also a link between emotions and our physical health. Emotional stress, if not addressed, can manifest physically in the body, leading to tension, headaches, fatigue, and even more serious health conditions. Negative emotions, such as anger and resentment, can create a state of chronic stress that weakens the immune system and harms our health. On the other hand, positive emotions like love, joy, and gratitude can have healing effects on the body, promoting relaxation and boosting overall well-being. The mind and body are deeply interconnected, and by managing our emotions, we can improve both our mental and physical health. Emotions serve as messengers. They are signals that alert us to what is going on inside, what we need, and what we value. Rather than seeing emotions as obstacles, we can choose to view them as powerful tools for self-awareness and growth. They are there to guide us, to help us understand our reactions, and to point us in the direction of what is important. When we learn to listen to our emotions, understand their source, and respond with intention, we gain greater control over our lives and our future. Instead of allowing emotions to control us, we learn to master them, using their energy to propel us forward in alignment with our highest potential. An uncontrolled mind is one of the greatest sources of unhappiness, dissatisfaction, and unfulfilled potential. The mind, when left unchecked, can create chaos, confusion, and distraction, preventing us from living with purpose and clarity. Our thoughts shape our reality. And when those thoughts are scattered, negative, or unfocused, they hinder our ability to move forward in life. We become trapped in a cycle of indecision, procrastination, and self-doubt. And instead of living a life that is intentional and aligned with our goals, we drift aimlessly, caught in the current of our own unchecked mental patterns. The mind at its core is a powerful tool that can either propel us to great heights or keep us grounded in mediocrity. When we allow our thoughts to run wild, they often lead us to distractions that prevent us from focusing on what truly matters. We become overwhelmed by worries about the future, regrets about the past, and fears about what others think of us. The mind can easily get caught up in these cycles of negative thinking, pulling our attention away from the present moment and from the opportunities right in front of us. Without control over our thoughts, we lose the ability to prioritize, make clear decisions, and take decisive action. This lack of focus ultimately leads to a life that feels unfulfilled, as we are constantly chasing after fleeting distractions instead of pursuing our deeper desires and dreams. An uncontrolled mind also feeds on self-doubt and insecurity. These internal voices that question our worth, our abilities, and our potential can be incredibly powerful. And they often prevent us from stepping outside our comfort zones and embracing opportunities for growth. Every time we try something new or face a challenge, the mind whispers, "You can't do it. You're not good enough. Or this will never work." These thoughts create a barrier between us and the life we want to lead. Instead of acting with confidence, we hesitate, second guess, and ultimately hold ourselves back from living to our fullest potential. When the mind is dominated by negativity, it becomes nearly impossible to feel fulfilled, as we are constantly battling with ourselves instead of taking proactive steps towards success and happiness. Another significant way in which an uncontrolled mind leads to an unfulfilled life is through the lack of clarity and direction. When the mind is cluttered with thoughts, worries, and distractions, it becomes difficult to know what we truly want out of life. We may feel overwhelmed by choices, unsure of which path to take, and unable to commit to any one thing. Without a clear vision or sense of purpose, we wander aimlessly, unsure of where to direct our energy. This lack of focus and direction leads to a life that feels fragmented and unfulfilling, as we are unable to channel our energy toward a single goal or vision. Our actions become scattered, and we are left feeling unproductive and dissatisfied with the results. The mind's tendency to ruminate and dwell on past mistakes can also contribute to a sense of unfulfillment. When we are trapped in the past, replaying old regrets, failures, and missed opportunities, we miss out on the possibilities of the present. Instead of moving forward and embracing the potential for growth and change, we become stuck in a loop of negative thinking, unable to break free from our past. This holds us back from pursuing new opportunities, building new relationships, and creating the life we desire. The mind, when uncontrolled, fixates on what went wrong instead of focusing on what can be done right. The past no longer serves us when it comes to creating a fulfilled future, yet we often allow it to dominate our thoughts, preventing us from moving forward with purpose and clarity. An uncontrolled mind also leads to an unhealthy relationship with time. When we are not mindful of our thoughts and actions, we become prone to procrastination, wasting time on trivial distractions and avoiding the things that matter most. Instead of taking focused action toward our goals, we let time slip away, caught in the cycle of mindless activities that leave us feeling unfulfilled at the end of the day. We may find ourselves constantly busy but never truly productive, as the mind resists the effort required to make meaningful progress. This wasted time accumulates, leaving us with a sense of regret and dissatisfaction, knowing that we could have achieved so much more if we had simply directed our thoughts and energy more effectively. In contrast, when we gain control over our minds, we begin to experience a shift in our perspective. Instead of being overwhelmed by our thoughts, we start to direct them with intention. We learn to focus on what truly matters, filter out distractions, and make decisions with clarity. With mental discipline, we are able to face challenges with confidence, move past doubts, and keep our attention on our goals. The mind becomes a powerful ally, helping us to create the life we want rather than an enemy that holds us back. When we cultivate mindfulness and self-awareness, we develop the ability to recognize when our minds are veering off track and gently bring them back to the present. We can challenge negative thoughts, replace limiting beliefs with empowering ones, and create a mindset that is focused on growth, possibility, and success. Through consistent practice, we build a mental state that supports our aspirations rather than hindering them. As a result, we begin to experience a sense of fulfillment that comes from living with purpose, focus, and clarity. An uncontrolled mind leads to a fragmented, unfocused, and ultimately unfulfilled life. It traps us in patterns of negativity, doubt, and confusion, preventing us from living to our fullest potential. But when we take control of our thoughts, manage our emotions, and focus our energy on what truly matters, we unlock the door to a life of purpose, meaning, and fulfillment. The power to create the life we desire lies within the control of our own minds. And by mastering it, we can transform our reality from one of uncertainty to one of clarity and success. Focused thinking is a transformative power that enables us to achieve greater clarity, productivity, and success. When our thoughts are scattered, we feel overwhelmed and directionless. But when we channel our mental energy into one clear objective, we unlock the ability to perform at a highest level. Focused thinking allows us to cut through the noise, eliminate distractions, and hone in on what truly matters. It is the ability to direct our mind with purpose, aligning our thoughts with our goals, and executing them with precision. In a world filled with constant distractions, the importance of focused thinking cannot be overstated. Every day, we are bombarded with messages, tasks, and demands that pull our attention in multiple directions. From the constant ping of notifications on our phones to the endless stream of thoughts running through our minds, it is easy to become scattered and unfocused. When we allow our attention to be divided in so many ways, we not only reduce our productivity, but also diminish the quality of our work. Focused thinking, however, helps us to overcome these distractions and bring our full attention to one task at a time. By doing so, we can accomplish more with less effort, achieve higher quality results, and feel more in control of our time. When we focus on one thing at a time, we become more present and engaged in the task at hand. This focused presence allows us to approach challenges with a clear mind, enabling us to make better decisions and solve problems more effectively. Rather than worrying about what might go wrong or dwelling on past mistakes, focused thinking keeps us grounded in the present moment, where our energy is most potent. It enables us to take deliberate actions that align with our intentions, rather than reacting impulsively or distractedly. In this state, we are able to work with a sense of purpose and drive that propels us forward toward our desired outcome. Another powerful aspect of focused thinking is its ability to sharpen our creativity and problem-solving skills. When we focus on a single problem or project, we allow our minds to delve deeper into it, generating new ideas, solutions, and insights. Our brains are highly adaptable, and when we concentrate our mental energy on one task, we activate our ability to think critically and creatively. The more we focus on a specific challenge, the more solutions we are likely to uncover. On the flip side, when our attention is fragmented, we limit our ability to think deeply and critically, resulting in shallow solutions and missed opportunities. Focused thinking also cultivates the discipline needed to overcome procrastination. When we commit to a single task and break it down into manageable steps, we avoid the feeling of being overwhelmed by the sheer magnitude of the work ahead. Focus allows us to stay on track and make steady progress, no matter how daunting the task may seem. By dedicating ourselves to consistent, focused effort, we build momentum that propels us towards success. Each small step we take while staying focused brings us closer to our goal, and the satisfaction of progress reinforces our motivation to continue. One of the most significant benefits of focused thinking is its power to enhance personal growth and development. When we focus on improving ourselves, whether it's building a new skill, developing healthier habits, or cultivating a more positive mindset, we channel our energy into actions that lead to long-term growth. Focused thinking enables us to identify areas of our lives that require attention, and it gives us the clarity to create a roadmap for progress. Rather than being distracted by external circumstances or the opinions of others, we can concentrate on our own evolution, taking intentional steps to become the person we want to be. Focused thinking also plays a key role in cultivating resilience. Life is filled with challenges and setbacks, and it is easy to become discouraged when things don't go as planned. However, by maintaining focus on our goals and the bigger picture, we are able to bounce back from failure and persist in the face of adversity. Focused thinking helps us to stay grounded in our purpose, reminding us that setbacks are just temporary obstacles on the road to success. When we remain focused on our desired outcomes, we are more likely to find creative solutions and continue moving forward, even when circumstances are difficult. Focused thinking allows us to make better use of our time and energy. It's easy to fall into the trap of multitasking, believing that we are being more efficient by juggling multiple tasks at once. However, research has shown that multitasking actually reduces productivity and can lead to mistakes and burnout. Focused thinking, on the other hand, allows us to give our full attention to one task, completing it more efficiently and with greater precision. By dedicating our energy to one thing at a time, we maximize our output and conserve our mental resources, leaving us with the energy to tackle the next task with the same level of intensity. When we practice focused thinking, we also develop a sense of mindfulness, which allows us to become more aware of our thoughts and emotions. By focusing on the present moment, we create space between our thoughts and our reactions. This mindfulness enables us to respond thoughtfully to situations, rather than reacting impulsively or being influenced by our emotions. We are better equipped to make decisions that are aligned with our values and goals, rather than being swayed by temporary feelings or external pressures. In summary, the power of focused thinking lies in its ability to bring clarity, purpose, and efficiency to our lives. When we are able to direct our thoughts and actions with intention, we unlock the potential to achieve more, be more creative, and grow more effectively. Focused thinking enables us to overcome distractions, stay on track, and make deliberate progress toward our goals. It sharpens our decision-making, enhances our problem-solving abilities, and fosters personal growth. In a world filled with distractions and noise, cultivating the power of focused thinking is one of the most effective ways to live a life that is purposeful, productive, and fulfilling. Reprogramming the mind is a powerful process that allows us to transform our beliefs, thoughts, and behaviors in alignment with our true potential and purpose. Our minds are shaped by years of experiences, conditioning, and external influences, many of which may not serve us in the present. Much like a computer program that can be rewritten to perform more efficiently or solve new problems, our minds can be reprogrammed to break free from old patterns, limiting beliefs, and self-sabotaging habits. This reprogramming is essential for creating lasting change in our lives, enabling us to achieve personal growth, success, and fulfillment. The process of reprogramming the mind starts with awareness. Often we go through life on autopilot, repeating the same thoughts and behaviors without even realizing it. Many of these thoughts are unconscious, inherited from our past experiences, or ingrained by societal messages and expectations. They shape how we see ourselves, how we interact with others, and how we approach challenges. For example, if we were raised in an environment where failure was feared and avoided, we may carry the subconscious belief that we are incapable of success or that making mistakes means we are failures. These beliefs create mental barriers that keep us from taking risks, suppressing our potential. Reprogramming the mind begins by recognizing and confronting these limiting beliefs and thought patterns. We must become aware of the negative thoughts that arise automatically, especially in moments of stress or uncertainty. Often, these thoughts are rooted in fear, doubt, or insecurity, and they hold us back from taking the necessary steps toward our goals. By identifying these thoughts, we can begin to challenge their validity and replace them with more empowering beliefs. For instance, instead of thinking, "I'm not good enough to succeed," we can reframe that thought to, "I am capable of learning and growing, and success is within my reach." This shift in thinking may not come overnight, but with consistent effort, we can slowly rewire our brains to adopt more supportive, empowering beliefs. One of the most powerful tools in reprogramming the mind is positive affirmations. Affirmations are statements that we repeat to ourselves, reinforcing new beliefs and mindsets. These affirmations serve as reminders of our potential, our worth, and our ability to overcome obstacles. When we repeat affirmations regularly, we begin to form new neural pathways in the brain that align with these positive beliefs. Over time, these affirmations replace negative, self-limiting thoughts and help us develop a stronger sense of self-confidence and self-worth. Affirmations are not just empty words. They are a way of training the mind to focus on the possibilities rather than the limitations. Visualization is another powerful technique used in reprogramming the mind. By vividly imagining ourselves achieving our goals and living the life we desire, we create a mental image that our mind begins to accept as a possibility. Visualization taps into the power of the subconscious, which doesn't differentiate between reality and imagination. When we regularly visualize our success, we prime our minds for success by reinforcing the belief that it is not only possible. The more we see ourselves succeeding in our minds, the more likely we are to take the necessary actions to make that vision a reality. In addition to affirmations and visualization, another crucial component of reprogramming the mind is changing our habitual thinking patterns. The mind often operates on automatic, deeply ingrained thought loops that are difficult to break. When faced with a challenge, for example, our first instinct might be to focus on the obstacles and risks involved rather than the opportunities and solutions. By consciously shifting our focus, we can train ourselves to approach challenges with a more positive and solution-oriented mindset. Reprogramming involves replacing negative thought patterns with positive, constructive ones that drive us forward instead of holding us back. This process requires patience and persistence. Just as it takes time to develop new habits, it takes time to reprogram the mind. It's easy to become discouraged when results don't happen immediately, but consistency is key. The more we practice new ways of thinking, the more natural they will become. Over time, we will find ourselves automatically thinking in ways that align with our goals, values, and desires. It's important to understand that setbacks are a natural part of the reprogramming process. Our old thoughts may resurface, especially in times of stress or uncertainty. However, when we are committed to the process, we can recognize these old patterns and consciously choose to redirect our focus toward more empowering thoughts and beliefs. The act of reprogramming the mind is not just about changing how we think, but also about changing how we feel and act. Our thoughts are intricately connected to our emotions and behaviors. When we change our thinking, we inevitably shift how we feel about ourselves and our circumstances. For example, when we adopt the belief that we are capable of success, we begin to feel more confident, motivated, and optimistic about the future. This shift in emotion influences our actions. Instead of procrastinating or avoiding challenges, we take proactive steps toward achieving our goals.